All right, everyone. Hello there. We're back. Last time you saw us, you probably saw me die inside a little bit, but
and
no,
me
no,
and
no,
me get excited.
no need to talk about the Denver Broncos. Okay. Um, so a little disclaimer. I mean, yes, a little. We will be talking about playoff hockey in a bit, but Link is currently watching the Predators as he records with us. So if he gets suddenly just celebrates or gets angry, you know what's happening. And so we're not going to tell him don't feel passionate about your team. So
Don't get too passionate, or else I'm going to go on a 5 minute rant on John Hines and how he's a elitely bad coach.
yeah. So anyways, we'll start this off with the NFL. So I think the first question of mine is how would you grade your team's draft? Um, Whoever wants to start, you may.
Well,
This
let's
is
go.
it's
I think
difficult.
we go with the Bears first. You got
Okay.
You
I
did
mean,
pick
yeah, I didn't really
first,
think of an
so
actual. I didn't think. Yeah, I didn't think of an actual grade. I guess. I mean, I have to give it like just for the Fields pick alone. I mean, I was think. I mean, you think about like depth. I guess because the Bears have been just like have just had such a low amount of picks these last few years. But now you're looking at the fact that they got one of the best quarterbacks scouted not only in this draft, like in the last 10 years. So, so that factors into it more. So I would say they have like a solid, uh, at least a solid B plus. And honestly, I'd probably throw them that A minus category. They got help on the O line. Borum and Jenkins was supposed to be a first round tackle, and he got bumped back to the second round.
yeah,
Um,
that was a surprising.
and yeah, for sure. Even their late round picks like Newsom and Graham, Graham the slot corner and Newsom the slot wide receiver. They're solid. I mean, Graham's kind of like a high floor corner. He was ranked on like PFF's big board, like just three or four spots behind the Packers' first round cornerback Eric Stokes, which is something to get that in the sixth round. So overall, yeah, I think they did pretty well, really. I mean, honestly, it's hard to say anything they did wrong. But yeah, I'd have to give them like a solid A minus or an A,
You know,
which is really I'm really proud to say.
I'd actually give the Bears an A plus to be honest.
I could see that too. I hate giving anyone an A plus because it just sounds way too much of an optimistic take. I'm trying to rein in my optimism a little bit, but I could see that for sure.
Yeah,
yeah. The Bears did have themselves a quality draft. This is kind of like a turning point draft for them. This either goes all in, or we'll try again next time.
you
We
know,
have to do something.
like you said before, the
Yeah,
Bears needed to make a hail. They needed to go for a hail mary. Whether Fields properly delivers on being said hail mary, that's yet to be seen. But Fields busting or not wouldn't change the course of the team if they didn't try to go for a quarterback. Fields succeeding changes the course of the team to be a Super Bowl contender, and so I don't think you can lose. I mean, you can lose, but I don't think it's like losing in the regards of where you look at where the team was before, but more just
yeah,
typical
exactly. Like with that trade and everything, it totally planned poorly for them. I'm not gonna ignore that possibility. But yeah, like you said, when you look at where they were before this trade, where they were gonna be, and the fact that they now have Justin Fields and a revamped O line, although it still needs some work, but it's definitely younger. Definitely it's less it's less experience, but the upside I think is probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
So yeah, they got all these you got all these factors now playing into it, and it really it really helps. Just I mean, I'm just speechless thinking about it. I'm still getting too giddy. But it's the best spot they've been in years, and it's really awesome to think about.
Yeah, so I guess we'll talk about the next pick that happened, and in a way, the next pick was very much so the next pick in the draft, the Dallas Cowboys. No boy, I mean, look, if I had to grade our draft, I'm gonna honestly give it a B plus. Now, look, The problem with the draft isn't that we drafted poorly. We drafted rather well. The problem with the draft was that the players that would have been perfect for the team all happened to go before our pick, and it pains me a lot, to be honest. I mean, look, Micah Parsons, he'll be good. He has some character concerns, but you know what? I hope he can get past those whatnot. He has the talent to be a Hall of Famer one day. I believe in
Yeah, no,
him.
he's really good. He's a dick, but excuse that profanity, but he's really good.
But like at the same time, I would have you ask me, I still would have loved to have like a transcendent corner. I mean, it's unfortunate, but Joseph looks good. Trayvon Diggs, he improved his last season as the year went on, and hopefully that can cement a solid core at the position.
If they
Um,
can get Steven, I don't know how the Cap's looking, but if they can get Steven Nelson,
they
oh,
could
that'd
get
be
Steven
huge.
Nelson. They could get Richard
Yeah,
Sherman. I mean, there's a lot
yeah,
of
no,
ways.
there's still some
There's a lot
names.
of ways to go for the Cowboys, but I don't know. It to me, the disappointment isn't in what the Cowboys did. The disappointment is the fact that we had to just win some games that were completely unnecessary to win, and it cost us. A higher pick that could have gotten net us a guy. But I can't be mad at what we did on draft day. It's not our fault. It's just that Denver wanted a player and they got him. And
Or they
um,
wanted Aaron Rodgers,
yeah,
and they got the guy that they trade for Aaron Rodgers.
pretty much. Well,
Although that might be a bit of a reach. That might be a bit of a reach, but
Now that the Packers have Stokes, I don't think that's going to be done. To be honest,
yeah,
um,
yeah, that's probably yeah, probably so.
I feel bad for Sertan with the whole like Aaron Rodgers trade rumors. Because if Denver really did that so they could trade for Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's just wasting his time, with a team that drafted him to move on from him. Instead, when there was a team that probably would have wanted to have him for like 10 plus years, but enough of my bitterness. Let me talk about like the actual picks now. I said Parsons, he's going to be really good. Calvin Joseph, I like him. And you Eagles fans, I have a message. In college, Calvin Joseph absolutely locked down Devontae Smith in attempts that were targeted, meaning that there were probably more times he covered Smith, and Mac Jones didn't even like bother giving it a look because it wasn't just he wasn't good enough to be open there. He went 0 for 3. Mac Jones to Smith when Joseph was covering him was 0 for 3 with an interception. So, that's a very good sign that Joseph could take some of the better corners in the SEC. Well, better corner. He can take the best receiver in the SEC. Yes. Who can be one of the better receivers in the NFL. Maybe one of the best. We'll see how that goes. Um, some other picks. We got Osa. As a UCLA fan, I really like the pick. Hopefully, he can be really good in the interior defensive line. We got
Yeah, they needed some help there for sure.
we made a couple other reaches in the third round. But I can hopefully see it. It's the third round. It's not killer. Then we got Jabril Cox in the fourth round. Very very good coverage linebacker. So that looks pretty good. I like that. Um,
That's
obviously,
all you can ask for from a linebacker too, especially one that late. That's awesome.
yeah. You know, but yeah, what he does well in his coverage. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He looks like a good receiver. I like Michael Gallup. I just don't think that Michael Gallup, for considering the Cowboys cap situation, the money he will want, he will be worth keeping around. So maybe Shimmy will be a long-term replacement. That is yet to be seen. But overall, I'm going to give the draft a B plus. Look, it could have been an A. However, and this sounds dumb. There were things out of their control that prevented it from being so. Could they have moved up? Yeah, but that would have looked really stupid in the moment. I don't think anyone saw what Denver did coming.
Yeah,
Could
for sure.
and yeah, that's just how it is sometimes. It's very unfortunate, but I definitely would have liked the Cowboys to I liked what they did. They did a good job for what they had available in the option. Hell, Trevor Merrick was another player wanted. The Raiders traded up to take him a pick before us. It's pretty frustrating those first 2 rounds, getting sniped. But for what was available, they did a good job. So I'll give it a B plus. I believe this is a team that could still do well. I don't think losing out on Sertan is going to break our hopes. I think, there's this team can be very good next year. I think we should be the favorites to win the East.
Well, yeah, like you said, I mean, Atkins or Tans, it's definitely gonna leave like a bitter taste, but at the same time, you filled a lot of holes on your defense with like Parsons, Cox, etc.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be huge no matter what. So that's really
There
helpful,
was
and they already
another.
have a really good
Oh,
offense.
there was another
And
pick
it
I
was
forgot to mention. It was Israel Mukamon. I don't know how you pronounce South Carolina. We're gonna play him at safety. I liked him a lot. So there's that. But yeah. So now Link, tell me what your thoughts on it.
Uh,
Kind of went on the Titans did.
all right. So the Titans. I said we had 2 goals. Really keep bolstering the defense that held us back last year and finding that replacement for Corey Davis. And did we do such things? Well, we can review our first pick. There's a lot. There's a lot riding high in the first pick because there's a couple players, like a couple star wideouts or highly rated wideouts that fell to us. But instead, we went for Caleb Farley, which is a safe pick. He is one of the top rated corners of the draft, with the only concerns being injury. We picked up a run. We put up a run blocker in the second round, which is all fine by me. And then the following picks really went for defense, corners, linebacker. We picked up Elijah Molden,
That's a really
which
good
is a
one.
very
Yeah.
it's a really good pick for what he's worth. We got one of the biggest problems I had is just receivers we picked. Unfortunately, we didn't really invest a lot. I mean, we picked up 2 receivers. We picked up Des Fitzpatrick. Picked up Racy McMath out of LSU, I think. I read up on this. Is all right, but he's not a big play receiver. He's not extremely like in terms of the athletic category. He's not really shining anyway. Racing McMath, from what I've heard or from what I've read, despite being a part of that high-powered LSU offense from these past couple of years, he only had a total of 33 catches throughout his entire collegiate career. And that's probably why. I mean, taking him at round 6 probably wouldn't be too much of a risk, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. I felt like we could have found someone a little better. And we also picked up, I was wanting edge for this. Like, I was really high on the edge category. We picked up Rashad Weaver, who is already having alleged problems with the law. All right. That's, I don't know how to feel about that, but other than that, I give it a solid. I'd say I give it. I can't put an A because I think in terms of the receiver, we just didn't pick one up, or the one that would probably be the caliber enough to put at your wide receiver too. So I'd have to put it at A. Also, we would all y'all put it in the B category. I think the Titans it's solid, but like I said, wide receiver I'll put it at B.
Yeah.
that sounds about right. Yeah.
All right. And so all right. So now there's one more thing that I'd like to discuss about the draft, and maybe if you want to name some winners and losers. However, I do want to name one team that I perceive as a loser outside of the first overall pick. I believe that the Jaguars, after taking Lawrence, which I think anyone would have done, screwed the pooch with this draft.
Yeah, they made some really questionable moves.
They took
Yeah,
Travis.
it felt like they just did like after. I mean, it was obvious who were they going to pick first, and then they kind of forgot about the other 7 picks they had during this draft.
Had more. They actually had done more, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I just don't get the entire thought process. Like, take a running back when you have James Robinson, and then
Oh,
apparently Urban
there's a
Meyer
fight.
wants to
Oh
use
yeah,
him.
they're going at it.
Then Urban Meyer wants to use him as a third down back, and then also wants to use him as like a slot receiver. So I have several questions. Why do you feel the need to take a running back? Why do you feel the need to play him as like a receiver? Why not take a receiver? Why are you looking at a receiver when your options at receiver are good? So there's all of
Questions
those
that sadly will
layers.
not get answered.
Those are all of those layers that I do not understand about the ETN pick. Why not take Elijah Moore? Even if you were going to take Elijah Moore, why would you take Elijah Moore? You have good receivers. Like, that's what's going to confuse me because I think they. And then their next pick, Tyson Campbell, not even the best best rated corner left. Why do you need to take a corner here? I understand that you had some issues, but like I feel like this is something with all the picks you have, you can wait on a little bit. And like do you have that little faith in CJ Henderson? Why not take a safety? Um, and the other thing I'm getting is like why don't they do a better job trying to protect Trevor? I know they took Walker Little. They could have taken Tevin Jenkins. They could have done more at the safety position. They could have gotten Trevon Merrick. I don't get what the Jags are doing.
I don't know either. I mean, it's obvious that they're really buying into what Mayer knows as the OSU coach for so long. But it is really weird. The ETN. I mean, I don't even know if anyone expected him to be a first round pick.
I think there
I
was the
thought
expectation. I just don't think there was the expectation to
yeah,
be the Jags.
it might just been me. I thought he was going to probably go to the second. But that's kind of splitting hairs. He's picked like 25. But it's hard for me to really question the judgment of people smarter than I. People smarter than I. I'm going to be honest. Although I also agree that the ETN pick was really questionable. Like when it first happened, you're like, okay, they got Robinson. Like, are they really going to have a running back committee? Is that what they're prioritizing round one?
Yeah, that was
Like
just
I get like making sure you got your multiple guys ready to do multiple things if need be. But I mean, like seriously, prioritizing that is
look,
interesting
ETN in
because
the
you can
first
still get
round.
that in like depth and everything.
ETN in the first round at pick 25 and avoid isn't a bad pick. I don't believe that running backs are that highly valuable, but I'm not going to like go yell at a team that needs a running back doing it. The thing is though is that
Well,
Jacksonville
there's a world where ETN's a solid first round
The
pick.
thing
But
is,
yeah,
though, is that Jacksonville does it while having a shit ton of needs and while having a running back.
who's who's beyond serviceable, who's actually quite solid.
Yeah, that is just extremely
And
weird.
wasn't he undrafted last year? Or wait, when was he picked last year?
He
He was
was
picked like really
undrafted,
late, if I remember
yes.
correctly.
He was undrafted.
Yeah. So that also basically proves what you need to know. Essentially,
So,
is a lot of running back performance is mostly dictated by the team. And if you're going to have him be a slot receiver, I guess it's a bit of a different story. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how they prioritize each role. But it's wild.
Yeah, I can't really trust the Jaguars on draft night. But speaking of Jaguars and transactions, Tim Tebow is now a Jacksonville Jaguar at tight end.
that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Tim Tebow might be the best college football QB. Now, in the NFL, that didn't necessarily translate more because of his skill set. Kind of they're
I'm just upset he never got to play for the Mets.
There, some college QBs who don't translate, they have different stories to them. I feel like, Tebow, I think it was more his style. I mean, I don't want to give you bad memories, Link, but, Vince Young was more kind of getting screwed over. Tebow, I guess, was more the way he played. But at tight end, I think he could possibly do well. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, he's super athletic too.
He's big.
Play at
Yeah,
tight
he's
end.
big. He's not bad to
He
bring in
had
as
it
like
in
a
him.
training camp guy.
He had it in him. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how he does in camp. But, before I guess we go on from the NFL. Would anyone like to mention any particular winners or losers they saw in the draft?
The Giants for sure won. Not even in the picks they took, but the way they set themselves up for the future. Like even if I think the kind of same with Miami, even if Tua is not bad for them, and in this case, even if Daniel Jones, or even Tua's not good for them, maybe in this case, even if Daniel Jones is not great, They have enough depth next year. They're like reasonably going to have 2 top 15 picks, which is crazy to think about. But they also got a fourth from us. They traded down again, so they got more depth at a draft where it could really help being stocked up for the future. And they already have they've taken a lot from a lot of solid classes. So just doing this and at this point in time just makes it even better. I'm pretty proud of Gettleman for doing what he did during this
Yeah.
in this class.
I guess another team I want to shout out for doing well is the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh
Trading
yeah, no,
down,
for
getting
sure.
Christian Darisaw, using those picks they got from the Jets to take Wyatt Davis, a very good right guard, and Kellen Mond, who could be groomed to be the future. We'll see. Obviously, third round quarterbacks, their chance will be somewhat limited, but if they can capitalize, it can be very good.
Hey, if it worked
Vikings,
out for Kirk Cousins.
yeah. Kirk Cousins is going to be behind a decent line for once in his career.
It's just wild to think about.
Yeah. Any team that you would like to point out, Link?
So I'm going to point at a loser. I'm not a so Cincinnati, right? Their big gripe or their big flaw this coming this year was offensive line, and for some reason in this draft they decided to prioritize defenseman line picks.
They
I
do.
don't.
They do have issues in the D
I don't
line, but you got to protect Burrow more than you got to rush the other team's passer.
Totally.
like. I don't get it, man. I mean, are they trying to just bet on Burrow that he just develops into a runner and he can just get out of there? I don't
Yeah.
know,
I don't know.
but you've got to protect him.
Jackson Carmen in the second round, if they play him at guard, might be fine. What I don't get for the Bengals, and like this is a complaint that I have about with several teams that I don't understand why they passed on him. But why did if they took Jamar Chase, it would have been understandable if they got Tevin Jenkins. I think I would have been okay. You didn't get Sewell, but you got a very good player in Jenkins. Instead, it's like I think Sewell would have been better with now with the way they handled their second round and getting some protection.
Sewell,
And
yeah, no, I would have taken Sewell as well. I can't really hate them for. I really like Chase. But yeah, Sewell is definitely a better fit. It's weird too because like even like the second and third rounds, they didn't. It's not like they didn't like address the offensive line, which you really can't do. They took like 2 tackles and a center. But like in the second and thirds, they prioritized the line more, which is odd because they're also not going to be that good next year. And if they need that defensive help there, that's when you're going to want to get it because they could definitely have stacked up on offense this class and then just gone for defense next year.
yeah,
So it's yeah, it is kind of odd. I agree.
yeah. So I'll just speed through I'll go through one more winner and loser just for my own self, and I won't say much other than some of the players. Cleveland was a winner. I like they got Greg Newsome, JOK, they got Schwartz, some other good pieces. I like what Cleveland did. To bring up one team that I think I just didn't like what they did. And there wasn't a lot of teams that I really didn't like, but the Steelers,
Oh
Najee,
my
I
god,
like Najee, but who's gonna block for him? I'm gonna bring up his name for the third time for a team that could have used him, Tevin
it's a
Jenkins.
it's exhausting to talk about how bad the Steelers are. Like literally every single draft,
Then they go Pat Freemuth, a tight
except when it
end.
comes to defensive line. Then they're like all time great.
Then they get Pat Freemuth, a tight end over more line help. And then they get Trey Sermon. I mean Trey Sermon. Well, no, they didn't take Trey Sermon. They passed on Trey Sermon, I think. Yeah, no, they could have had Trey Sermon with the line. No. Then they passed on like Creed Humphrey or something. I
Oh
mean, if
my
you're a
lord.
Steelers fan, you probably would have liked to have Jenkins, Humphrey, and Trey Sermon, but instead they had Najee, a tight end, Freemouth, and yeah, they got. I think they finally took an offensive lineman eventually, but like I just don't like what the Steelers did. Is there any
They're gonna
more?
die with Roethlisberger, and that's gonna be really soon.
Yeah, is there any more teams that any of you would like to bring up?
Actually, probably not, but I'll pick
No.
it. Nah, that's pretty much it.
All right,
Yeah,
so
just
you
for
know
me. Yeah.
So I guess now we have some playoffs that are on the
Oh wait,
rise.
hold on. I just want to talk. Can I? This is just gonna be a small, short topic, but schedules released. Any like big outliers you see in y'all's team schedule?
Oh God, we have to play the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year on the road, and that's gonna be fun.
I don't remember the exact one. All I know is their schedule's really hard, and we're gonna win like hopefully 5 games, maybe 6, maybe 7 to 9 if we get lucky and get like Steven Nelson.
Yeah.
This is my
Um,
part. This
I
is my
think
favorite
early
part
on
about
we're like it's a little bit easier.
one thing that sticks out to me as a Titans fan. So, in the month of October, we have on October 18th we play Buffalo on Monday Night Football, and then we got to go Sunday, the following Sunday, and play Kansas City, and then we got to go on the road against Indianapolis. Then we play Los Angeles. That sounds like a horrible stretch of games.
Damn, that is scary.
It is, yeah, yeah. The back of our schedule is gonna be a bit of a nightmare.
So now kind of going to so now we have some playoffs starting. So we'll get to so I think let's start. I think let's start with the ones that are that are already kind of gone underway. The final divisions already began. The Stanley Cup Playoffs, the best time of year in sports to some. That's finally coming. So unfortunately, our Blackhawks kind of fumbled the bag with making a spot. Nashville's in one and are currently playing Carolina. So the game is on right now. Link, is there any like particular things to note so far in this series about like the Preds and the Canes and the way they're playing, how it's flowing?
Here, let me talk about today's game. So, in the first 7 minutes of the game, Matthias Elkrom already had 2 penalties. Not good to see. That was our main problem, I think,
That's
in game
bad.
one. One of the main problems in game one was just not being able to stay out of the box. And that's what hurt. I mean, that's what kind of hurts our offense is the fact we don't even get to play offense because we had to keep trying to block the power play. Which, I mean, granted, we were successful in not letting up a single power play goal on Monday, but still, we just didn't really shoot a lot.
Yeah.
Other than that, for some reason. So,
Wait, is it still 1-0 Canes?
it's still 1-0 Canes, and
All
it's
right,
been
yeah.
it's been a pretty quiet second period. There's been, especially with the Nashville Predators, a lot of just shots that go nowhere. All that fun stuff that you got to experience as a Preds fan.
I see.
Just want to talk about something for a second. So, John Hines, right, buddy? Why was, or I was gonna ask this, and I'm still gonna ask this for today. So, why in game one was both Rocco Grimaldi and Ellie Toverman scratched for allegedly no reason? Grimaldi's not even playing tonight either because he was still scratched. I don't. When you need goal scorers and you take forwards that are top 5 in scoring for our team, that's not a real. That's and then you try and then you're like, wow, why don't we produce anything? That's probably a reason why. I don't get it.
Yeah. It's definitely kind of
Turn-
weird. I mean, John Hines, I mean, he already built himself as a villain in New Jersey, and I guess he's doing it in Nashville again.
Yeah, I don't see him unless we somehow make it past this first round. I don't see him coming back to Nashville next year. But
Yeah.
do you want? Let's keep with the Central Division topic. Let's talk about the Bolts Lightning, or the I'm sorry, I was about to say Bolts Lightning series. The Panthers Lightning series. They have played 2 very physical games, and
Two very good games. Yeah.
yeah,
Couple suspensions from Sam Bennett and Ryan McDonough. Um, Definitely, I think this is definitely a passionate series for a lot of hockey fans. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people were upset about, I believe, the first call, the goal, the game being waved off for the Florida Panthers. Um, I think a lot of the anger is stemming from the fact that Nikita Kucherov is even playing. Um, so in the NHL, before we kind of get to the hockey itself, I don't want this to take away from the appreciation series, but okay, just to say this. So Nikita Kucherov had surgery a few weeks before the season started. Um, so he, was out, put on LTIR. After being put on LTIR, the Lightning had cap relief and were able to re-sign Anthony Cirelli and Mikhail Sergachev and be compliant with it. Sergachev was already re-signed, but they needed that LTIR to be compliant. Sergachev then went on to Sergachev and Cirelli both went on to have some pretty good seasons, but Kucherov was put on LTIR, missed the whole year. Stamkos was also put on LTIR. They used that cap relief to get Savard, and they're both back conveniently for Game 1 of the playoffs, in which the salary cap does not count. Now, the reason why people are particularly upset about Kucherov is one, there was never a point that we've ever seen where you said, "Oh shit, he's hurt," and two, the surgery given to him was given fairly late in the off season. You think they would have identified that was an issue earlier. And three, the fact that he is conveniently back for the playoffs, playing after the cap doesn't count. After he's been skating and participating in practice for roughly 2 months, and he comes back firing as hard as he did in Game 1. There's definitely some anger to say that the Lightning kept Kucherov out of the lineup for a while just so they could be cap compliant. I mean, what would you guys kind of think of that with that whole long-term injured relief situation? Because to me,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, you can go, Salt.
Because to me, look, I am angry that this is allowed to happen. I definitely think the Lightning shouldn't be allowed to pull something like this. I definitely think they were keeping Kucherov out for longer than he was actually, injured for. I think Kucherov could have been playing hockey games this past month. And I think that
Yeah.
I think that in the interest of, I guess the interest of players, because maybe Kucherov was fine on this. He probably was, but it doesn't mean every player would be fine with going through with something like this. As well as the fact that, this is so much shade to begin with. I don't think that, no, they shouldn't go back and punish the Lightning for it. That's stupid. This is all on the NHL for setting up such a stupid rule with
Well,
a stupid
is it
exploit.
illegal, or is it like a loophole?
It is a
Because it's
loophole.
like a
It is
loophole.
a loophole.
Yeah. So then, like, if you're the Lightning, I mean, I don't blame you for wanting to exploit that, especially like in
Yes,
their
I don't
position.
blame them for wanting to
Like they
exploit
can
it,
easily do it.
but I blame the
Yeah.
NHL for not taking any actions for something like this, which would
Oh
be an
yeah. No,
obvious
totally.
consequence of LTR relief.
Yeah,
Um,
loopholes are exhausting in sports, and they're so prevalent. I mean, you see this all the time in baseball. The extra service time call up, or the extra year of service time if you call a player up like a month into the season.
yeah.
Uh, that yeah, this stuff. It's prevalent, but it does get really exhausting. I totally agree with you. I think that's on the league more than the Lightning,
Yeah, I
but
agree. I believe it is more on the league than it is on the Lightning, but I absolutely think
just
it is a pretty messed up kind of thing. I really hope that after this season the league cracks down on these type of loopholes being available. Something that I believe that you have to. I believe for a player to, okay, if a player is on LTIR for the entire regular season and is suddenly available for the postseason, I definitely think something, I definitely think that maybe you don't have to force them to play, but I think for them to play in the playoffs, you need to be cap compliant with them off LTIR, in the during the regular season.
that's a decent alternative. That's a decent solution.
Yeah. However, let's actually talk about the series because there's the whole controversy with Kucherov, but let's talk about the actual enjoyment of the series. So you have the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning have played two very good games. I mean, I think Tampa will likely win the series, but Florida's fighting, and I like Jonathan Huberdeau has played very well. Alexander Barkov, I've liked what I've seen out of him. Mackenzie Weegar has looked very good. For the Tampa Bay Lightning, I think it just needs to be said that Kucherov, controversy aside, has come back firing. And you like to see that he's playing well coming off such an injury. Whether you believe he should be playing or not aside, it's nice to see him do well.
Totally. No,
Um,
totally, for sure.
Yeah, this has been especially watching Game 2 last night. It's great. I mean, these teams are only about an hour or 2 hours apart. Only two teams in Florida. They've played a ton of times this past season, and that shows that's blown over because they have been very physical. Lots of big hits, lots of post whistle scuffles. And you know what? I think this is one of those series. I mean, Tampa is up 2-0, and they've kind of had Panthers' number for the last two games, but I think it still goes to about 6 or 7 games.
I'm gonna say this is one of the more entertaining series out there.
Finish the take.
It like
I think it'll probably go to 5.
yeah, I'm not sure
I
because
think
now
I
you're
think
taking
Florida
it.
could edge out one of these.
Now you're taking it to Tampa. Maybe probably could go to 6. Maybe I don't know. However, it's an entertaining series. Lots of physical play. It's what happens when you pit Florida men against each other. You're gonna have some really good physical play. But despite the scoring totals, Andre Vasilevsky's played very well. I mean, I think if it wasn't for Vasi, I don't think Tampa is sitting as high as they are because Florida really put the pressure on them in moments, and I think that the Panthers they have some fight. If they can crack Vasi, I think this is Florida's to win. If they can, but as long as Vasi is Vasi, it's going Tampa probably has the edge going forward. We'll see what happens
Yeah,
here.
just in the sheer volume, honestly. Like the game, I believe it was the 16th. He had like 40 saves or 40 save attempts, right?
Yeah.
Like to do that in the playoffs is really impressive. I mean, we know he's capable of doing that. He's an electric goaltender, but he's totally stepped up.
Another really good series that we have now, kind of moving. Let's go to the East Division. Currently, right now, let's talk about the other series first because we have one with the ongoing Game 3 that's in its third overtime in as many games. Washington and Boston. Before, let's talk about Pittsburgh and the Islanders. That has also been a pretty good series. You
I
know,
can't believe it's 1-1 so far.
Yeah, it's 1-1. The Islanders tend to do well. Not as much this season, but they tended against but they've had their success against the Penguins historically in the postseason. Um, we've had a couple
I
really
thought no, I
close.
thought they were gonna pull ahead.
We've had a couple close games. We had an overtime winner for the Islanders. Kyle Palmieri has really kind of shown why Lou Lamoriello looked at him and acquired him, scoring a couple goals there. Um, Josh Bailey, Brock Nelson, they've both looked well in those games. For the Penguins, I mean, Jeff Carter scored a goal in the last game. Kapanen has done really well. Usual suspect Sidney Crosby is definitely driven play. So I mean, I really like how this is going. I think the Islanders Penguins series is looking very balanced and can go to 7 possibly. Have
Yeah,
to
I
give
agree.
have to give props to Ilya Sorokin. In the first game, he did well, and Semyon Varlamov came back and did even better in the second. Unfortunately, the Islanders kind of got outshot, but on the other end, Tristan Jarry did well for the Penguins in game 2. Some excellent goaltending in the second game. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm guessing Varlamov will probably be the playoff goalie from now on. Granted, Sorokin had a good game 1, but that's been a good series. Any of you guys want to say anything about it?
Yeah, the battle of the goaltenders has been awesome. Especially because like okay, like again, I hate all these baseball analogies I'm doing because I really don't want to sound out of my element here. But like you talk about a pitcher's duel,
Yeah.
and you talk about how exciting those are. Goaltender duel in hockey is like it brings a lot of echoes a lot of the similar sentiments. Especially one where uh, maybe it's not like the best guys, or because like it's been more of a committee with their goaltenders, but they've been pulling through so well, and like these are not like this is not like an easy matchup. Like both the Penguins and the Islanders have some threats on their offense. So it's not like it's not like a team's clearly like way better than the other. Although Islanders are probably better, but they both are deadly and they both can threaten.
Yeah.
So it's really just impressive to watch that go down so far, and especially like when you can watch it in the same one as the heavy scoring ones, like a lot like the first game where there were a lot of opportunities, and it was like 4-3, I think it was.
Yeah.
Um, so as long as it keeps that going, I totally agree. I think it could go to 6 or 7.
Yeah, like I definitely like it's a very even series. Um, what I'm actually like so, and I'm just gonna say this. That's probably so far. I mean, the last couple we've talked about to me, and the one we're about to talk about, have probably been the most entertaining series so far. The goaltending has been excellent, and it's going to I mean, hopefully, it'll continue to do well. I mean, I also wouldn't mind seeing some high scoring games though. Um, I personally, I think this is where I think the Islanders will likely be considered my favorites to win. I mean, I did a bracket challenge before, and I had the Islanders going to coming out of the East, so that's where my rooting interest is. Um, Going forward, we have another Eastern series that's on right now. The Capitals and the Bruins. Third overtime in as many games. Currently being played. Pretty even. I guess that's what I just have to say about it. Link, is there anything you'd like to say about, maybe the Capitals Bruins series?
So this is a series. This is one of the first group of game where I think it was the wasn't the first playoff game to be
Yes, it
played
was
this.
the first playoff game to be played.
Yeah, and I mean they've been in overtime for all three of the games. So you can tell these are two teams that are very competitive. And they both want the exact thing, and that's to win the cup. I mean Washington, they still have some high talent from that. They're still trying to uh, ride high from that 2018 Cup, and they're trying to
Yeah.
be yet just as competitive as that one is. Boston. I mean, they've last year they were the one of the favorites for the Cup, and in 2019 they were the Eastern Conference champions. So these are two
Yeah,
very competitive teams, and I think, like I said, I mean, it kind of shows with the game. Look at the scores, all overtime games. That means both these teams don't really want to give up.
Yeah.
I hate to interject for a second, but does anyone else feel so weird watching Chara face the Bruins in the playoffs?
Yeah, that is pretty weird for sure. Like it's like wow, you don't expect to see like Zdeno Chara being against them. You expect it because he was their captain for so long, and
Yeah,
for some reason, I feel like he's going to be a key part of the concluding goal of the series. Somehow, either the Bruins winner is going to go off his skate, or like he's going to do something that's going to win it for the Capitals. I just have that weird feeling.
yeah. I don't share that sentiment. I'm not gonna lie. Well, I mean, mostly just because I don't think he's as good as he used to be. But I mean, he's been decent today. So you know,
Yeah,
yeah. I guess it's just how the tides turn. He has a lot of experience in the playoffs for sure. Which you
he's
talk about
definitely yeah, he's
that
definitely
mattering a
not
lot when
like
you're like a 45-year-old
oh,
defenseman.
and it looks like let's see here. I mean, like with this, like with Chara, he's not like a particularly good player anymore. I would say.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But for some reason, for better or worse, I just feel like something is going to happen.
Well, like I said, you talk about playoff experience. I mean, hey, this is the time where it's going to matter, or these are the moments that people talk about.
Oh, and just
that factoring in
with the Capitals, Ilya Samsonov just made a really good save. It looked like the Bruins were going to win, but Samsonov just kept the game alive for the Caps. So, that's speaking of goaltending. That's another Russian goalie. We were talking about Varlamov
he's
and
been
Sorokin
electric
earlier.
tonight.
Samsonov right
Yeah,
there. So yeah, that game's
he's
ongoing.
been
If it
electric.
concludes while we're recording, I'll definitely say something. Now going on, we have the West. The West has been. It started off with a goaltending battle, Vegas versus Minnesota. Now Minnesota in the regular season have given Vegas a fit. Now Vegas finally got a regulation win on them in game 2, but Minnesota won the first game in overtime, and I gotta say, Cam Talbot and Marc-Andre Fleury have both played excellently so far.
Yeah, I guess it's more of a guess we're seeing a common theme in terms of how the goaltenders are doing.
I mean,
so far,
I mean,
Cam especially had that unbelievable game 1, and I mean unbelievable.
Yeah, he kept.
they've both given up. They've both given up 2 goals apiece. I mean, that last Vegas goal from last night's game was empty net, so that shouldn't really count for
Actually, it
anything.
would be
But
one, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, that's like that is Oh yeah, it would be 2 because it was I think 3-1 final with an empty netter.
yeah,
Yeah, so it'd be 2 apiece. But yeah, that's Talbot and Fleury. That's gonna be an interesting battle to look at. I mean, Vegas have kind of been known to have like goal scoring issues in the postseason. Kind of started last year. Vegas, their style of play, they drive a lot of play. They get a lot of expected goals. However, they don't have like the amount of shooters I would say to properly supplement and convert those chances in as efficiently as you'd like. Now they are so dominant in play that even with their inefficiency in goal scoring, they're still able to win games. But when you're in the postseason and you're playing against a team like Minnesota, who their best player is an electric, an electric rush. Well, their best forward. I mean, the player can be up for dispute. They have some good defensemen, but their best forward, Kirill Kaprizov, he's an electric forward who, I mean, the way he plays, he's going to get more points than expected by models. So he's kind of the opposite of what a lot of Vegas forwards do. He outperforms kind of what's expected of him. Now it's only his rookie year, so whether it's luck, some of his luck is yet to be seen. I believe a lot of it is on his skill, but Minnesota is very capable of outscoring expectations with a guy like Kaprizov. And it makes me really wonder, like, is if there's a team that can upset, if there's an upset in this, even though I predicted Vegas to win, I feel like this is the series where the upset is possible. I don't see really any upsets in the East. I don't know Nashville, who are about to about St. Louis. I mean, they could do stuff, but I don't feel confident. But if there's one series where the
Yeah, I think
upset can
Avalanche are too
happen,
good.
if there's one series that can happen, I think this is the series where the upset can happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're definitely gonna battle. But we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, out of all of them, I would have to agree. I guess the Blues are probably second, but I don't know. They've been a little bit all over the place this year, and the Avalanche have been
Very dominant.
just lights out. So I would say I'd have to agree with the Knights and Wild.
Yeah. Anything about that series, Link? The Knights and the Wild.
I mean, I've already kind of said my comments about it, so I think is probably along with Caps Bruins, one of the more entertaining series to watch.
Yeah. And then finally,
I guess I kind of want to ask another general question because
yeah.
I'm kind of curious here. What's your guys like in general biggest X factor for the playoffs like right now? Like not even like per team, just like out of it, every team playing right now, who's like the biggest X factor in your minds?
every team playing right now.
So you talk about some guys, but like, yeah, could you like hone it in on like one specific guy or like one guy you'd focus on?
Ooh, you know what? This is going to be interesting, but one player that I'm very interested in seeing is I want to look at how for the he has a point today. I went at the Capitals. Anthony Mantha. They made a very risky trade that I don't believe they did well in, trading a player like Jacob Arana for him. So for Mantha, this is a player that now he has to justify, the deal. He needs to justify to the Capitals fans and management acquiring him, and so I want to see, Mantha. I want to see how he does in the series. I mean, he's having a good game. He has a score. I want to see how Mantha is doing, and
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I want to see if he can justify his tag. I want to see if he can finally get that scoring breakout. Now he's out of Detroit. Takes a little bit to adjust to new surroundings. That's fine. But yeah, I want to see how Anthony Mantha does. Any X factors for you, Steven or Link?
Oh, Link, you want to go? I could probably answer last. My question, want to get the round table going.
We've kind of seen the theme among what we've been discussing about every game so far is the fact that goaltending is just extremely key. I mean, we've seen, like I said, we've been talking about this, just a lot of goaltending duels, and how every point just matters in this playoffs. In the playoffs, you can't let up early goals. That just, I mean, just goaltending in general is the most important. I'm finding in every. I'm not saying I don't really have a general one, but I mean, just overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. It was a bit on the spot. I guess mine. I kind of want to call back to Palmieri, especially with the Islanders where they are. They finished fourth in the division, and they were still really good.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he can like really step up, and I mean, he already did in game one. We saw how that turned out for them. But he's been struggling this year. This would be a time where like they didn't. It wasn't like a super like they didn't give up a lot for him, but this would definitely be the time for him to start. Kind of showing why the Islanders were interested in him, like you were saying before, Salt. And I guess also like Carlson or someone boring like that, I could say too. Because like again, like you said, Salt and Knights need um they need more scoring consistency, and that's all going to start with how Carlson does.
Oh yeah, because
So I guess him, but
William Carlson's shown in the
yeah,
past he can be a very prolific goal scorer. Yeah.
yeah, but he's been kind of on and off this. He hasn't been bad, but he's just been a little bit more on and off this year, I think.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Um, but yeah, he's kind of a boring one. But I'd say Palmieri would be mine.
Yeah. All right. Now, kind of looking at, we looked at the one final matchup so far in the West. Let's be honest here. This might be the biggest slaughterhouse. We have Colorado and St. Louis. Um, the Avs are looking very good. They're healthy again. I mean, Nathan McKinnon went off. Nathan McKinnon, probably the second best player in the game, not named McDavid. Um, it's been pretty. It's a very interesting battle, I guess you could say.
I'm really excited to see the Avalanche doing this well. I mean, they've deserved it. They've got like the fact that they have like having Rantanen and McKinnon in the same clubhouse is unbelievable. But they've
And
got so much depth.
yeah, and also
Yeah,
when I say it's an interesting battle, by the way, I don't mean that I don't mean that this will be a nice, entertaining series for the faint of heart. This will be a nice, entertaining series for I think all three of us because we all despise the Blues.
you can say
So,
that again.
huh?
You can say that again.
Oh yeah, and we just want to see St. Louis fail. I mean, they're gonna play again. We're gonna hope the Avalanche slaughter them again. But Link's a Preds fan, so it doesn't apply as much, but still does because the Blackhawks and the Blues probably the biggest Western Conference rivalry in the league in terms of both historic and current. Um, both factors in mind. So Definitely seeing the Blues get tossed around and killed would be fun. I don't think any of us want to see them win another Stanley Cup. But
Oh yeah, no way.
definitely Mason McKinnon's done well. And Cale Makar had that really nice goal. I believe in game one. I believe it was him. Like, I'm just extremely interested in just seeing Colorado just do well. It's
It's really invigorating, especially to see like I mean they've been getting up there for a while, but like
yeah.
now they're really starting to
Oh, Gabriel
get it going, which is
Gabriel
awesome.
Landeskog had a game to remember. He had a goal, 2 assists for 3 points, and also got in a bit of a fight. I think he was standing up for his teammate, if I remember. Guys Landeskog is a player that my respect for him has increased a lot because I really love his game. He's a very complete guy. And you know what? He's a really good captain. I mean, people wonder why Nathan McKinnon isn't the captain of the Avalanche. Well, they got a guy like Gabriel Landeskog to handle that. And
Totally. Yeah, he's really talented. He showed that obviously in game one, but he's really talented, really experienced.
yeah,
Um, it's exciting to see him along with McKinnon and Ron and I don't know. I'm just gushing over that group. It's so hard not to.
yeah, and you have rookie Alex Newhook getting his first experience in the playoffs. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, for sure. It's really exciting.
Um, now going kind of from, I guess, Link, do you have anything to say about that series particularly?
No, I really don't because I mean you got the one game. I do still want the Blues to be Blues because they're the franchise who burns down the orphanage and kicks the puppies because they are evil in my mind.
This
Other than
is
that,
true.
For sure.
enough being silly here, but right now I think Colorado definitely has like a. I'm not sure about the Blues when it comes to like a potential upset, but I do think Colorado. I mean, they did win the President's Trophy, so you can obviously call them the most complete team, as we proved because of what they did in the postseason or the regular season. But seems to be replicating after Game One.
Yeah, and
Can we talk about the North Division?
yeah, you can discuss the we were about to go to the north. So currently
Uh,
so we can kind of still do previews for the north. Currently Winnipeg and Edmonton are 0-0. Mike Smith and Connor Hellebuck getting kind of keeping it clean. So we can still talk about that as a preview a bit. I haven't seen the game, so I haven't seen the ebbs and flows of how it's gone so far. But I think it's fair to call Edmonton the favorites, but do not count Winnipeg out. But I think Edmonton are pretty strong favorites regardless, though.
yes, I do definitely agree with that. I mean, you got the top goal scorer, Connor McDavid. You have Leon Draisaitl. You got all of them
Yeah, you have
other players that I currently I can't really I can't name out right now. It's really embarrassing though. Other than that, they
Yeah,
are I mean, a lot of people. I don't know if it's just like trolling or what, but they do think out of all divisions, the North Division is probably going to be the most weakest out of the four.
yeah. No,
Um,
definitely. I think one of the themes here. I think what will make or break the series. I think Connor Hellebuck is going to be the decider of the series, even more than McDavid could be. Because let's be honest here, we're talking about goaltending. Connor Hellebuck might be the best goalie in the world. There's a debate to be had. But he could be. You can make a very very strong case that he is, and to say the least of it, I think Hellebuck is a guy. If you need a guy to take down the Oilers, why not Connor Hellebuck? I mean, hot goaltending can break really promising runs in the postseason. I mean, the Oilers last year themselves, they kind of just got one of the factors that kind of killed them. One, goaltending wasn't very good for them in that series. It did its job in some games, not so much in others. And two, Corey Crawford in a couple games absolutely stonewalled them. And so why not a guy? If a guy like Corey Crawford, who granted last year was still a very, very good goalie, why not arguably the best in the world, Connor Hellebuck, be the guy to end their run?
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Like,
I think too, Winnipeg is they have some really solid depth on their offense. They could totally give the Oilers a challenge. In terms of, like you said, with their goaltending, I'm not sure I would say Halbuck's the best in the world. I think he certainly has like the most, or at least probably the most volume, which definitely factors into it. But yeah, but he's still really talented,
yeah,
and yeah, it's I don't know. I'd also agree it's going to favor the Oilers. I think if you kind of want to talk about a series where you can't count anyone out, though, this is probably going to be up in your top three in terms if you're ranking them all. Just there, that's not extremely far off, and both teams have a lot of talent. The Oilers obviously also have a lot of offensive depth. I don't want to seem biased and neglect them.
yeah.
But I mean, hey, yeah, you look at a series that go either way. This could definitely be one of them.
I wouldn't say it's as like even as like the East Series or Florida Tampa, or I would say it's kind of more like Vegas and Minnesota, where like, yeah, Edmonton are the favorites. They have a guy like McDavid. Why not make them the favorites? They got Dry. They have some other good pieces. Nurse. I mean, Ethan Bear. Ryan Nugent Hopkins. Jesse Pulju. I forgot if it's Yarvu. I'm blanking on like the ending of his name. But he came back to the NHL with a vengeance. He's played very well. He's starting to deliver on, what he was supposed to be, and he had a really good season, and got to give credit to him. So to me, you know, there was I think the Oilers, they've come in. This is the best team they've had in a while. This is even better than the team from last season. I forgot to mention Yamamoto, of course. They have a very good pieces to beat Winnipeg, and so yeah, they're the favorites. But because Winnipeg has Connor Hellebuck, and yeah, they have good pieces on the forward core: Shifley, Ehlers, Connor, like a nice defenseman like Neil Pionk. I mean, but so they have it in there to beat Edmonton, but you know, Edmonton, they've earned their spot as the favorites. Um,
Yeah.
Link, is there anything you'd like to provide with this series?
Not much. I will stress an update from the world of the Nashville Predators. After we are currently once again in a timely fashion not capitalizing on power plays. We are 0 for 6 on the power play. Whoop-de-doo.
Oh boy, that does not sound fun. The next series,
Yeah, that's not great.
the next series that we
I
have,
kind of want to interject as well,
uh,
before we move on, because I think we're about to move on to another
yeah,
sport. But
no,
Corey
there's one more
Kluber has
series
a no
actually.
hitter. Corey Kluber. Oh yeah, sure. But I just want to say, for the baseball world, Corey Kluber has a no hitter through 8 innings.
Oh boy, yeah, we're gonna
Another
be discussing those no hitters later, but
Yeah. So just want to say, I mean, yes, we are recording this on May 19th.
we are recording this on May 19th. That is correct. So with that in mind, we have finally there's the Toronto Montreal series, and that's gonna be a passionate one. Hockey Twitter is gonna go to absolute shit. Um, that'll be interesting to see who's gonna break the narratives. I mean, Montreal's coach Ducharme is already pissing off the fans. It seems like he's not going to play Cole Caulfield today. Caulfield's been pretty good in his first few NHL games. He's been scoring goals. So it makes sense that people will be upset that he's not playing. I mean, he's doing his job. Um, for the Maple Leafs, I mean, look, you have no reason to not be the favorites, but I don't blame people for lacking faith in them. They can't do it once it comes to the playoffs. They can't get out of a round. And so, I mean, for Montreal, I mean, you have, I guess for them, this series is about proving that they can win um, on big stages and prove that they have, something worth building at the moment. As for Toronto, they want to prove that they can get out of a round, for Christ's sake.
I think the lol Maple Leafs narrative. God, I hate saying that. I think that narrative is probably gonna like pour through people who think this might be close. I honestly think this is gonna be a blowout in like every sense of the word. I think that the Maple Leafs have a strong chance of sweeping. And if they don't, I think they'll win in like 5 or 6
I
at
don't
the
know.
worst.
Montreal's played them well, which that's why I think this will be a close enough series. But I'm thinking the Leafs will take this in 6. Link, any thoughts about that?
I mean, I do agree they played it well, but I think like I understand Toronto hockey is very like, especially in the playoffs. This team, I mean, we've seen this before with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Something just happens with them during the playoffs to just make them lose the attribute of hockey. Saw this with Columbus last season, the play-in series, and I don't know. I will say I do like this Toronto team. They got a lot of, you can just mention some of the names they have, and you can say, all right, this team's pretty good. Montreal, I mean, I don't think they have. I mean, I think this is still going to like. I think may get my prediction had it at a 5-game series Toronto win.
Yeah, I agree with Link.
You know, so another yeah, so like but other than that, I mean, the hope here, I guess, is that you want to see the main guys perform in those big games. I mean, you've seen guys like Matthews and Marner have their moments, and then you've seen guys like Matthews and Marner do poorly later. And I mean, the hope would be, I guess, I mean, Marner had a big role in that rally in the play-in. I mean, Matthews in those early games against Boston in 2019 looked good, but it's the thing that I guess you kind of wonder is that are they going to break it? And this is probably the weakest opponent they've had in over their time with Matthews that they've been making the playoffs. And if there's any time to do it, it's now. I mean, it's not Boston who, I mean, in those 2 years that they've had to face them, were one of the best teams in the NHL. I mean, the Atlantic Division has been very top heavy, so we'll kind of see what plays out with that, I guess you could say. But it is interesting to me, the direction of where the Leafs are heading, because there are probably some jobs on the line riding on these series, including Keefe's and probably Dubas's. Um, for the Habs, probably Ducharme has his. Bergevin is probably secure. So this will be a series that will have its ramifications for those teams in terms of front office and coaching, most likely. But yeah, I think now we got our predictions out of the way. Is there anything anyone else wants to interject about anything on hockey, or are we clear to go?
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got nothing else to comment on.
All right, so now that we've got that done, we have the NBA, and so the play-ins have started. I haven't really watched the play-ins, but I think
I haven't either.
I think Charlotte is out, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Pacers beat
Charlotte's
the
out.
Hornets and the Celtics beat the Wizards.
But I believe the Wizards are going to play the
We do have
Pacers now, right?
another final. This came up about 10
I think
minutes ago.
so,
I am
yeah.
not watching the Grizzlies game because I had the Preds game on, but they did beat San Antonio. They will be playing whoever wins the current going on Lakers Warriors game for the last spot in the Western Conference playoffs.
Yeah, which may or may not be well, but I kind of feel bad. I kind of feel for the Jazz or the Suns because they're gonna play. They've both played extremely well, and one of them is probably gonna end up playing the Lakers. Um,
Yeah,
as
but the Lakers are kind of they're still a little bit. Well, they're kind of back now, but like if you think about all the time they've missed this year, I'm worried that'll take a toll.
yeah, actually, as of right now, the Warriors are winning at the moment.
Yeah, but it's pretty early.
It is pretty early. The Warriors are winning without any Curry points. Uh,
Andrew Wiggins is replacing him,
yeah, Andrew
like we
Wiggins is the
all
new.
knew that he
He's
would.
the Andrew Wiggins is finally becoming the player he was always drafted to be.
Exactly.
Um,
All kidding aside, yeah, it's gonna be so fun watching see how the Jazz and Suns go because it's like the first time both of them been legit in the same conference, or
yeah,
not the same. No, what the same conference, same year. This is like the first time both of them been legit, and in the same year having that, like it's gonna be really exciting.
yeah.
Because I did not expect either of them to be the Jazz more so, but the Suns especially came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, so I believe the Spurs are, officially out of contention. As Link said, the Grizzlies won. There's some pretty interesting series, going beyond, I guess, the play-in. I mean, so obviously we're just talking about the Jazz and the Suns. I really want to see the Suns go far. I don't know if they will, but obviously I want to see Chris Paul do well. I want to see him get a ring. I'd like to see him get a ring. Um, But so with confirmed series, to of the ones that have been confirmed, which one do you find the most interesting? I guess. So of the confirmed series, we have the Blazers and the Nuggets, the Mavs and the Clippers, the Heat and the Bucks, the Celtics and the Nets, the Hawks and the Knicks. There's a few rematches from the past couple of years in this one. Um,
Yeah, I would say. I just really want to see the Knicks do well, so I guess I'm kind of going to be paying attention to that series.
I
Um,
think I think that the Knicks are match up extremely well against the Hawks. Um, I
yeah,
I don't see who on Atlanta is going to stop Julius Randle. To be
no, yeah,
honest,
for sure.
like I think there's a better chance that the Knicks could slow down Trey Young than there is the Hawks slowing down Julius Randle. Um,
Yeah, known MVP candidate Julius Randle.
yeah,
Absolutely. Knicks
another
just put it all together. It's really awesome to see that from that team
Yeah, I mean they
for
did
so long.
well. I think another good matchup. I mean, we have a couple rematches. I mean, the Heat against the Bucks and the Mavs against the Clippers. I mean, the all four of those teams kind of have the potential to go places. I guess with it. I mean, the Heat they have good qualities about matching them against the Bucks. I mean, Bam, you're gonna have Bam on Giannis. I mean, unlike last year in the bubble, you're going to want to see that shooting do a bit better. You're going to want to see more out of Chris Middleton. He had a good couple of games against the Heat last year, but you're going to see more out of Middleton against the Heat than last season. Um, you're going to
Yeah,
definitely with the Mavs Clippers series. That was a very good series. The Mavs have been pretty inconsistent, but they do play better against good teams. So you wonder how that will do against the Clippers. Definitely
I think it's just going to be. Oh yeah, sorry,
a
Salt.
lot of
I
pressure
think
on
it's
the
just going to be exciting too.
yeah, a lot of pressure on the Clippers because of that looming opt out that Kawhi Leonard has.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I was just gonna say I think it's gonna be exciting to see Doncic just play the Clippers. Really, that's most women would be watching for most. I think the Clippers will probably smoke them. But yeah, no, the Kawhi opt out's gonna be huge. Clippers been doing really well this year. I think they did better than most people were expecting to do with kind of the early drama they had. About like Paul George, everyone's kind of freaking out after his playoffs, and they were like, all right, they made some kind of questionable moves this offseason. But I mean, their 3-point shooting is exceptional. They got good defense. They're really consistent generally, and now they got all their guys to the playoffs. I still think it's a bit of a weakness that fact that you have to kind of be careful with how you play Kawhi and Paul George throughout the regular season, and then you kind of go full on with them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
But hey, I'm just a dumb kid, so what do I know? But yeah, it'll be exciting to see how they do. I think they match up pretty well, at least going like semi deep into this
Yeah.
into this bracket. Although, yeah, there are some difficult matchups they'll have to inevitably face for sure.
So yeah, and this is the first time in a while. I think both of you will be able to agree with this. I honestly think the NBA is actually going to be difficult to predict this year. The postseason.
Yeah, that is. I
I
do
agree.
agree with that.
I agree. Yeah, mostly in the West. Honestly, I think the East is pretty.
Well, the
I think
East.
the East is kind of pretty structured.
The,
I think really the only huge one is probably going to be the Heat Bucks. Other than that, I'm pretty confident in all the favorable ones,
yeah,
such as over
I'm
the
very
Wizards.
confident in Brooklyn, confident in Philadelphia. I'm more confident in New York beating Atlanta in the 4-5 than I am with the Heat Bucks result, which is the 3-6. I'm gonna be rooting for the Bucks because I want to see Giannis potentially get a ring, but like I'm not gonna be mad. I'll still be happy for my boy Jimmy Butler if the Heat win. Uh,
So they deserve it,
yeah.
especially after how they've built up and everything. It's sad they don't have Oladipo going into it too.
Yeah, that sucks. Hopefully they will give him, because he was due for free agency. Hopefully they might give him, even if it's not much, they could give him an extension just to help him get up on his feet and play again after he's coming back, and might be a whole next season too, but we'll see. But with the with the
So I'll
so
interject for a second, Salt.
huh?
Salt, may I interject for a second?
Yeah.
If I may interject for a second, Corey Kluber has just thrown the sixth no hitter of the 2021 MLB season.
Oh boy, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Who did
and
he? Is this the
now,
second no hitter in a row? In terms of
yeah,
days.
within 24 hours. So now this year we're one no hitter away from the all time single season record, and we're in mid May.
Rejuice the balls, please.
Dude, for real.
We'll get there when we get there. Let's.
Yeah, but so I guess with that in mind, Lincoln Stevens. So I kind of pointed out some series I wanted to see. I guess my personal favorite that I'd want to watch. I said Milwaukee, Miami. I think Steven said he wants to see the Knicks against the Hawks. He'll pay attention. Link, is there any series that have been confirmed? So I know obviously if the Grizzlies make it, you'll want to see that. But any of the confirmed series that you will be keeping your eye on?
Well, I will be keeping my eye on the Knicks Hawks series because that is two. Well, I shouldn't say two. These are really. I'm really going to be watching it for the Knicks because we haven't. I mean, we haven't seen Knicks playoff basketball in a while after all the turmoil. Really, chaos that
Yeah.
they've been in for the last few years. Are we watching that in terms of that's my favorite of the East? I also like Celtics Nets. I definitely think the edge, but Boston could give them. They may give them some good games. I'd say Boston. I'd throw in maybe 6 games.
Yeah.
I'd
And then
also kind of want to throw in. Sorry to. Oh yeah, no, Link, you want to go? Yeah, I'm sorry. Thought you're done.
in terms of the West, I'm not exactly. I mean, you got the Mavericks and the Clippers. These are two teams. I think they're the 4 and 5 seed, if I remember correctly.
Yup.
Maybe wrong on
Yeah,
that. Okay. Both teams have really good talent, but they weren't the superpowers of the West this year that went to Utah and Phoenix. I'm
Yeah.
really also interested in Utah because I mean we've had some Utah teams for the past few years. It's just the fact is they haven't been able to reach the finals. I mean, is this to get over the hump?
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, Utah. Utah. You wonder if they can do it. Denver's another team. You wonder if they can finally get over the hump. I mean, there was the
They're
2019
shorthanded too.
2019. I mean, they were the 1 seed, I believe, and they kind of got upset by Portland. I wish we could have seen, Denver with the way they were playing that year against that Warriors super team that did have some injury issues, but I feel like they would have given them like a much more entertaining series than Portland would have. Denver's another team I'd like to see. I'd like to see guys like Jokic. Also, I get to say that the Bulls vice president, I think it's vice president of basketball operations, Arturis built a championship team back when he was with Denver. Gives me something to boast about with their current management, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think for me, if it happens, Suns Lakers is going to be so fun.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. Hell, even Suns
Because
Warriors because Chris Paul and
yeah,
Stephen Curry. That's very interesting.
yeah, totally. I think the Lakers are more talented because, like, you look at them as a seventh seed. Sure, it's a second versus seventh seed. It's like it's like okay, yeah, second seed's gonna blow them out. But it's not like it's not like this is the Celtics versus like the Nets. Although, I guess it's in kind of a similar boat. But the Lakers have a super talented team, and they could have totally been in that top four if they were fully healthy this year. So
Yeah.
the opportunity to see that matchup and like right now or it could be right now is super exciting, or just the prospect of it alone. But um, yeah, they got LeBron back, they got AD back. Suns are going to be at full strength. It's just two great teams matching up, and yeah, it'll be fun to watch. The up and comers versus the defending champs.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, that'll be a good one. Is there anything anyone else wants to say about the NBA or?
I am good. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I guess we can move on to
All right.
baseball.
So so I think when we start with baseball, I think it's fair. We'll talk about so Corey Kluber just threw a no hitter, and let's be honest here, the no hitters are getting, man, it's getting kind of ridiculous now, isn't it? There's so many of them. It's like,
It's comical at this point. Yeah.
yeah, it's like what's happening? Like, are the hitters this awful, or is it like is something with the pitching this year, or is the balls not being juiced, like playing into it? You wonder what's happening. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah, totally. I know, like if you look at like the hardest hit balls, a lot of them are kind of dying as they really trek out. So like a lot of would be homers or extra base hits are becoming like deep flyouts or like sharp lineouts and stuff like that. So that totally plays a part, and that eliminates a huge bit of the luck factor that you need for a no hitter. Which yeah, that's gonna be pretty big. But I don't know. It's so weird because like part of it you have to imagine too. Although I don't know if people are really thinking about this as much. Is like the pitchers. It feels like pitchers are better across the league, or it feels like teams know more about them now to kind of manage their skill sets to where you're maximizing how good like teams can make their staffs with the added bonus of not getting or like eliminating that luck factor in a lot of these great games.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, it's definitely interesting to see kind of, how the changes are with a lot of the increase in no hitters, and definitely I think I definitely am starting to think I kind of miss the juiced balls a bit. Something I never thought I'd say, but I kind of do.
I
Um,
miss them a lot, yeah, but that's only because Dave Bodie.
I know, Link, you were mentioning yesterday. You said that Ian Anderson almost had one, right?
Yeah, he almost had one against I forgot who, but it was went to 7. He lost it. So, and we've had a couple more like that. And I guess it's like I should probably bring this. It's kind of weird to see because, of course, last year the season was delayed, and we saw a lot more like home runs being hit than usual. Because that's probably because the pitchers had to skip spring training and they just couldn't get really their usual warm up routines. But they've had spring training this year. They started to get really back on track and kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it's definitely a bit of a weird thing. So I guess with the no hitter, I don't know what's happening. It was cool at first, but the excitement's kind of gone.
It is, yeah, which kind of sucks for the guys throwing it.
It does suck for the guys throwing
Because
it because definitely guys
yeah,
like Miley and like um Turnbull, Spencer Turnbull, like their no hitters going to get super underappreciated. Like Kluber's will be talked about because one is a Yankees guy, and you know they're going to have a lot of attention in the press due to the sheer size of their fan base and the market. And then you're going to have Musgrove and Rodon will get a lot of attention because those were the two early ones.
yeah.
One was the first no hitter of like an entire franchise. Another, I mean, that could have been a perfecto. Um, so here's a fun question. Who do you think is it? Not it doesn't have to be the next guy because the next guy you'll never get. But who's a guy do you think feels like inevitably will get a no hitter this season? And maybe you'll be jinxing them in advance. But just for fun, because it's such an unlikely chance until it's getting there anyways. Who do you think would be the next guy? Not the next guy, but who do you think is a guy that could get one this year?
This is going to sound biased, but this might be the year Hendricks is able to pull through.
Link, any picks for you?
Well, I can't really have bias because I don't. I mean, other than I just we just said Ian, or I just said Ian Anderson almost had one, but other than that, I really see a lot of guys for my teams. And in terms of other teams, it's I don't know because I can't really predict. You can't really predict a no hitter because it's just an anomaly that happens. Just like a pitcher's like, okay, I'm gonna have a really good day today, and just strike out 16 and then get a no hitter.
Yeah.
How it is.
Now, not to say in like a bragging way, the Dodgers I think have the most no hitters out of any team, and it feels like one of our pitchers will get one this year. It's just a matter of who. I feel like Trevor Bauer could be Julio Urias. Um, I'm not
I
really
just
feel I'm not really feeling too confident about Bueller because he always likes to get himself in one jam per game, at least. He always likes to load the bases with multiple outs, and then afterwards he just works himself out of it. It's like really interesting to see. But I think if I had to pick a Dodger, I'm gonna have to say Trevor Bauer. He's been doing really well.
yeah, he's got a lot of great pitch. He's got a great arsenal.
Yeah, but I could see Julio Urias doing it too. Such a shame that Dustin May's hurt because he could have been a guy that could have done it as well. But yeah, I mean, other than the Dodgers, I mean, maybe Jacob DeGrom can get one this year. We'll see what happens.
That would
Um,
be awesome. I just want to interject too that we talked about this last time, but this is like the sixth official no hitter, but it doesn't count Bumgarner's 7-inning one.
yeah,
Although we were all in agreement that it should have been.
yeah, it should be counted. It's unfair. You count it as a
Yeah,
complete game. It should be considered a no hitter.
exactly. Yeah,
Now, if you don't want to count it as a complete game, maybe at least I can understand. But it's a no hitter in my eyes. Hell, we could have had two no hitters that day. Zach Gallen had one given up.
and Mania too. Yeah, Mania and then the Wade Miley one had one through like 7 or 8.
Yeah, there's been a lot of close calls, but you know, I'm kind of interested. So, going next, but moving on, I guess I know Steven, you really wanted to talk about this, and I think it definitely deserves its time in the spotlight. The fucking White Sox hiring Tony LaRussa, and the players already starting to hate him, I guess.
Yeah,
He's starting to protect going on protect mode the unwritten rules of baseball. Yermin Mercedes hit a home run on what like a 40 something mile per hour pitch from a I believe it was a position player pitching in a blowout
it
3-0
was. Yeah,
count.
S Studio.
Apparently LaRusse claimed he was giving him take signals the whole time, but he had such a good pitch. Why would you not crush that? So, what are your thoughts, I guess, kind of you want to direct this. I think we're all on the same page here. But Steven,
Yeah.
we will let you direct this.
Well, Jason Kipnis tweeted this earlier, but he was saying how when you put a position player pitching, that's you waving the white flag, which is fine. That's obviously what you're going to do if you're down by 11 runs. But to do that and get upset when when you wave the white flag and someone does well off of you it's ridiculous. It's pretty childish too. Um, and I was thinking, so like just that in general is pretty wild. But You move on to like after what happened. So like from the Twins' perspective, it was pretty stupid. Having a pitcher hit him. I don't know. It was wild. But really, what was like the true pain of it was what was like Larussa stance on it. Even after the game, he was like, "Yeah, there's going to be repercussions for this." And then what was really like the icing, I don't even know if it's icing on the cake, honestly. This might have just been the whole cake, was what he said about Tyler Duffy, who hit Mercedes in the, I think it was like his upper leg, might have been his butt. I don't even remember. It was like somewhere around there. Um, when he said that he was fine with it, and that like, you break these rules, like, there's going to be consequences. And he said, could have hit him in the head. I would have had a problem with that and stuff like that. He was kind of consistent with what he was saying, but he was just taking such a strong stance on such a terrible opinion. And you got to think about this too, to look at like going back to last year when Tatis hit that grand slam off of Texas, and Woodward had, I forgot who, someone hit him.
They hit
Like
Machado
you
after.
cannot, yeah. I remember, didn't they hit Tatis though after or like
I'm
his
not
next at bat?
certain. I'm not certain.
I gotcha. But I remember, yeah, I remember, and he was defending him doing that and saying that, like he shouldn't have pimped it, et cetera, et cetera. And people got rightfully upset for that. But just to think about that, and from the perspective of the team, of like your manager, like if you get hit of your manager, your team's leader, it kind of like it speaks volumes to what you kind of think about in terms of how that clubhouse dynamic is going. And obviously, baseball players are more professional, so they're not gonna, like, they'll be lenient with it, of course. But like there's a certain but like these moments really define a person. And to have this, like, all, like, just to have someone supporting this and these ideas, it certainly would make me feel less supported in this clubhouse than if I was with a manager who went out and said that Tyler Duffy should get suspended for 10 games for doing what he did. That the Twins are just keeping up a childish and foolish and just despicable ancient ideas in baseball. And of course, I like unwritten rules. There's always a place for unwritten rules. There's always going to be them, and they always should. Some of them should be respected. But there's a point to where some of them can interfere, or some of them can interfere with the game, or just be so stupid in general they shouldn't be followed. Like when people were saying about bat flips, like a few years earlier, and even now they were saying it like up until this year. Um, and I think honestly still to this year, like those are kind of dumb. And just to like defend those and lump those into the same category as like some other ones, it's like some of the ones that are like less of a huge deal. And it's just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just so disappointing to see Larussa say this, because it's so funny to clown on him for making bad moves and stuff like that, and just make DUI jokes. But like the repercussions, like the ramifications of what he said, honestly, like I got really upset about it. I thought it was cruel. If I were Mercedes, I'd be very upset about it. And even when the White Sox players who were like unanimously in support of Mercedes in this situation, Lance Lynn, who was criticizing it, and Larussa responded saying, I got an office, Lance is a locker,
Yeah.
which rings volumes about the power dynamic there. I mean, he knows what he thinks, but like there's a certain point to where that could definitely harm you. I don't know. Like I said, these are guys. These are ball players. They're more lenient. They're going to be more lenient with it. I just don't like that the tone that LaRusse is setting this early into the season with with one of his best players, especially. I think it's just really cruel, and how he's handled this is just hysterical. It's just borderline unbelievable. It's comical, really, and definitely very abhorrent.
Yeah. So I agree with the sentiments here. I believe that Tony La Russa should be fired, to be honest. I didn't believe that the hire was right in the first place. He has the off field, so the DUIs. Look, he's clearly not cut to lead a team anymore. It's clear that he represents a bygone time. Look, I get it.
Totally.
There was a time where he may have worked. However, these players, look, Yermin Mercedes is going to hit free agency at 35. He's going to make most of his money through arbitration. I read this somewhere. He's going to have to make every stat he could put up there count. And look, Mercedes, he can play like he wants. It's how you have to do that. And, I think I just think that Larussa, he needs to get out of the way and understand that, look, players, they got to hit a home run. Like, if you don't want to hit a home run, don't throw a bad pitch. Simple as that. Don't give up. Don't.
Or don't bring in a guy who's going to throw 50-mile-per-hour fastballs every single pitch.
Yeah. Don't make it easy. And if you're the there's a good example. So Nick Saban, when he coached LSU, they were down 10 points to Auburn. Auburn scored a touchdown at the end of the game. It was like pretty late. And if asked if Saban was mad about it, he said, "No, if we didn't want them to score, we simply should have played better." And that's, I think, the approach there. Look, running up the score, no, it doesn't happen. Baseball has infinite at bats theoretically, not even like a time limit like football does, where you can make the argument, well, I mean, the score is closer football wise, but that Auburn needed that less than, I guess, the White Sox did, because the time was going to be dead anyways. But like, I think it's just extremely petty, that they care. Comebacks are always a possibility, so it's completely fair and within a player's rights to add to the scoring if they see the chance.
Yeah, just to tell them to stop competing. When there's a certain point where unwritten rules are almost satirical just in how they're executed. There's a sharp humor with how stupid they can be
Yeah.
and with how rigid some of them are, and this is just simply one of those cases.
All right, Link, is there anything that you'd like to say about this?
See, this kind of, when you see this stuff in like the news, man, it's just, you hate to see it, because I mean, this is once again another example of the unwritten rules of baseball being exposed on a national level, and now there's a divide amongst baseball fans among this. Even though I think it's objectively clear that I think we're on the same page here, but I hate seeing this. This is like, I don't know. This may have been. I think this is like the 5th time it's been happening, or this is brought up in the season, where these apparent unwritten, or these apparent rules that don't exist. Now people get mad, and managers get mad, and stuff happens. Sucks for the sport. I think.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Yeah, like you're cutting off me a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if he did disconnect, we'll give him ample time. But yeah, it's definitely, like you said, there's a disconnect, and it's very unfortunate. And I want to see it get remedied. I think it's pretty dumb that it's like still this is still like a major issue in sport. Like, hello, why are we? What's the point of upholding to this when it's clearly excessive? I mean, I understand having respect for your opponent. But respect for your opponent, it can be just even just giving a good game, or just but
Respect for
scoring.
your opponent doesn't even involve, that isn't even in the same galaxy as what Mercedes did,
Yeah, exactly. I don't even think Mercedes even like, and I don't
or
care if
disrespect
he
your
did
opponent.
or not. I don't care if he pimped the home run or not. But I don't even think he did. I think he just ran around the base paths, which is like fine. You hit a home run. I mean,
Yeah,
you could be as happy as you want. Like,
yeah.
I get it. At least with like but and I didn't even care that Tatis did it when he pimped his home run when he did it back then. I could have seen why someone would have been mad that he pimped it, but he has every right to. There shouldn't be anything stopping him. Um,
Totally.
but yeah, like I think personally that um, what Mercedes did was fine. Like, who cares? Let him be him.
Yeah,
I just think Lance Lynn has already kind of taken a bit of a jab at Larussa. Larussa isn't taking notice of it. When Mercedes says, I'm going to play like German Mercedes, Tim Anderson gave him his endorsement. So I am feeling confident that something is going to happen. And I feel like Larussa may not last the season, if we're being completely honest.
would be that'd be something. I think he probably will, to be honest. Like I said, like I think I said respecting your opponents not in the same galaxy. I meant to say disrespecting your opponents not even in the same galaxy is what Mercedes did.
Yeah.
And I say this as someone who loves watching like the back and forth that goes on between guys. Like you look at like Salt, you remember when Muncie hit that when that hit that home run to the ocean against the Giants and Bumgarner
Yeah,
in
Bumgarner threw a
20, I
fit.
believe it was 19.
Yep,
Yeah,
Bumgarner
and
threw a fit.
Bumgarner got pissed. Yeah, but I like but I like that, because like I like people getting mad at each other for that because that's understandable. You're obviously going to get upset with that and that back and forth. When Muncie said go fetch it out of the ocean, that was
Yeah.
funny. That
That
was
was
like
funny.
I
That
thought
was
that
funny.
was
Joe
yeah I
Kelly
thought that was,
and
yeah
Carlos Correa was another funny one. But that I like.
yeah
I like when they do that. They're playing around. They're
exactly.
having fun. But when it's what the
But like
Twins did,
hit it.
what it's what the Twins did, and when it's what the Rangers did, that's taking it too far.
Yeah, that's reprehensible. That's totally reprehensible. Yeah, it's really stupid. Hitting people is just it's on a different completely different level.
Yeah, you may or may not result in some injuries, which is not a good thing.
Exactly. And even just the tone it sets, just throwing a pitch 90 miles per hour at a player, it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess kind of so I'm not sure if Link, I don't know if he had internet. Oh, are you there, Link? Because I heard saw the green light. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Were you able to finish your thoughts, or did you cut out for a bit?
No, I finished them.
Okay. So I guess moving on. I guess this is kind of the final baseball news. Before I say that, just a quick update in the NHL. The Avalanche have scored the first goal against the Blues, and the Bruins have won Game 3. Craig Smith scored the winner in overtime. Um, Samsonov had a pretty good game, but the Bruins pulled through and won.
Yeah, that was really exciting going down to it.
But, now that we're going forward, so Mike Trout is hurt, and this is not looking very good for the Angels, to say the least. He might be missing a couple months. This
He was doing so well this year too.
he was doing so well, yeah. So here's a question, and I feel like we may be in agreement with this. I don't know. Do you think this damns whatever playoff chances the Angels had? Um,
Uh, yes.
I would
Yeah.
say so.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
un-
Trout and Otani are like basically that entire team's production so far, and
Rendon,
they're like the pitching staff. I think could Rendon too, obviously, but I think the pitching could get better. I think their pitching been so wild this year because I think they're like expected like their performance based stats are like their advanced stats are a lot better than what they're posting. I think their ERA is like terrible, but they've
yeah,
been striking some guys. I mean, it's their pitching has always been weird, but in this year has been no exception. So, and you look at like I know there's an article on LB.com that said the key to their playoff hopes is in Trout, but it kind of is.
yeah.
losing a 200 WRC plus hitter, or losing a perennial MVP candidate, especially at a time where you're really struggling, that really hurts.
Yeah, I agree, and it's just it's pretty unfortunate if you're the Angels. I mean, you, this was looking like a potentially good chance. I mean, looking at the standings right now, I mean the Angels, they're a bit behind, but there was some hope, I guess you could say, at the least. Maybe not as expansive as it was early in the season, but there was at least some, I guess, ideas of expectation. But now it's just, I would say, gone. I mean, the Angels are under 500 now, and I would say I agree. I think that their playoff hopes are essentially dead. The reason to watch them now, I think they have the most exciting player in baseball is Shohei Ohtani, and I think as long as he's playing, the Angels are worth watching.
Yeah, no, for sure. Otani's just awesome. He's like leading home runs, throws 100 miles per hour.
It's
Been preventing
insane.
a lot of hard
He
contact,
might
strikes
be.
guys out.
He might be the most. He might not be the greatest baseball player of all time. I mean, but he might be the most talented.
Yeah, I was saying this. There are players you have to look at, like from a sheer results perspective, aren't like the best in the game, but like just from like how they approach the game, are unparalleled or almost even unprecedented. And I draw like examples from Darvish, who throws 11 pitches. He per him throws 11 pitches at least, and throws a lot of them really well. Like it's not like he just has like a million pitches that are all just meh. He has 11 really effective pitches that he can use to really go inside, like or really just go approach anywhere from the plate, and just having those options available. I mean, like it's just so exciting to watch. And you look at Otani, he's probably I'd say he's probably better than Darvish objectively. Then he's probably like a top 10 player in the sport, or at least very close.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that he has like one of the best, like his power is insane. He hit like 119 mile per hour exit velocity this year, which I think is like second to Stan. I could be wrong,
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure it
the
is.
hardest hit ball of his career too. So he's definitely hitting the ball harder than even like his own standards, which were pretty good. His highs in previous years all did eclipse 110, but he's getting up to 119, which is
Yeah,
very
anywhere
very
into
impressive.
120 is like unbelievable. Yeah. He still has some strikeout walk issues. I think those will tame as the season goes on a little bit more. And he's a really good pitcher. Throws really hard. He has a fantastic splitter. He's got a solid slider. I mean, he's from both a pitching and hitting perspective, he's extremely talented. Combining both is just unfair. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys ever remember that Office quote where Jim's like, where they are right, having one kid's exhausting, as they say, or having two kids, that's just unfair. Same thing with Otani from pitching and hitting
Yeah, for
when
sure.
you're the opponent facing him. But yeah, no, he's awesome.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, baseball season is going to be interesting. Obviously, as the playoffs progress in hockey and basketball, um, and the dead time, which is kind of started now in the NFL, goes on. We'll definitely start giving baseball a bit more of its deserved love for sure. Um, so I guess now it's time to go on to bonus minutes. Does anyone want to take one on? Um,
I
Link,
am good.
do you want to do
Well,
a bonus minute?
the Preds game ended. I'll give you my thoughts about it right now.
All right.
I'm tired of this narrative of not being able to score on the power play. It's tired, it's old, and it proves that this is just that it's overlooked, and I'm tired of it being overlooked because once again we had a abysmal night. We went 0 for 7 on the power play tonight. I said this. I'm not joking when I say this. The Carolina Hurricanes had better chances at scoring on our power play than we did on our own power play. Saros is playing lights out. He's not doing horrible. It's just the fact that we just can't get it production in the offensive zone. It's just lots of passing that go nowhere, lots of shooting that lots of shots that just go nowhere or just completely miss the mark. Dude, we are I well, I guess game 3's on Friday. I guess we're waiting on that. I have no optimism after tonight's game.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you got to pull through on those situations, especially in the playoffs. Those will kill you.
Yeah. So I will do a very quick, I guess, bonus minute. So on the soccer front, Real Madrid have been eliminated from the Champions League and are in the La Liga title race in the last game. Unfortunately, Osasuna blew a lead to Atletico late, so Atletico will control their destiny. Real will need to win and have Atletico Madrid drop any sort of points to win the league. They have the tiebreaker. Formula One, I missed the last race. I kind of slept through it. However, these last couple races have been more of the same. The typical Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas top three. However, this upcoming Sunday is the Monaco Grand Prix, which is, in my view, and probably most people's eyes, the biggest race in all of auto racing, and so that will be exciting to watch. For you guys, it's going to be kind of early if you have any interest in watching it. It's probably like 7 in the morning, so if you don't want to, that's understandable. But if you do want to,
Yeah, I've heard some, but yeah, I'm not super into it.
But if you want to see it, it's definitely worth the watch. I've been getting up early for these races and then going back to sleep afterwards, but it's been worth it. I do enjoy Formula One, and so yeah, that's kind of how it's gone. So, thank you guys again for for watching these. It was a pleasure to have you in during the NFL draft for that live stream. It's been a pleasure having you watch these videos. We've had a lot of fun doing this, and
For sure.
we'll be signing off. So see you guys.
Thank you.